Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the ThePCelitist. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd.
And today we have a subject that comes about through playing the WarZ alpha. Currently in alpha as of this recording. It might go to beta very, very soon. But changes are being constantly made to the game.
Little tweaks here and there.
Little tweaks here and there. Changes that, as I see it evolve and looking at the forums, that a lot of gamers disagree with, but a lot of gamers who are playing the alpha complain that they have this issue, so they add some sort of UI change, which I hate. I hate UIs. that they try to appease these people who are having frustrations with the game. And it came about our discussion just a minute ago of, do alphas and betas have adverse effects on game creativity where the game developers are not taking risks in their game because they're trying to make too many people happy early on? Also, the question of, well, we kind of boiled this down to, don't we want game developers to make games they want to play, or are they just trying to appease everyone? So, games like WarZ are being ruined by the fact of the alpha test.
Ruined?
Ruined.
Hello. Ruined is a little strong.
Ruin is strong, but
it has the potential. As with all alphas and betas, I think that really when you had games where the alpha and beta was purely closed, or it was just professional testers doing it,
right?
There was no feedback from the consumer beforehand. You just got the finished product and you liked it or you didn't like it, and yeah, they could patch it, but usually you got a game and it was up to you to like it or not. And so that was no feedback beforehand. We're now in an age where there is nothing but constant feedback during an alpha and a beta, and people are sending in legitimate tickets for bugs and fixes. That's fine.
Right.
But people are constantly posting on forums, God, this game is this way, I don't like it. Like, for example, WarZ, it's supposed to be a zombie survival MMO. Currently, the zombies are not scary enough to where it's a zombie survival, and I think they are going to fix that.
It's a player survival currently.
Player survival currently. You just get killed by everyone else. But I'm worried that people, for example, will say, oh, it's a survival game, but really I want it to be an FPS, and I'm surviving in a typical shooter fashion. I hope it doesn't go that way, but is that the danger? They come out saying, we want to make a zombie survival game. They put it out to people. If they get a bunch of feedback that says we want this to be more of a shooter, are they going to cave to that? Especially because the reason people say it's a shooter is the genesis of that is that the zombies aren't scary enough. The threat is other players. Therefore, people think, oh, this is a shooter. It should be more like a shooter.
Right.
So give me crosshairs, give me more access to scopes, and this, that, and the other. It may make guns more plentiful. Because they
add more UI, which is what's probably going to happen.
So is it, and that's, it could be the developer's fault, because since they're not making zombies scary enough, they're kind of creating this, what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of creating this environment in which people say, well, it's not really feeling like a survival game, it's feeling more like a shooter, so let's head in that direction. And, well, no, if you want to make a zombie survival game, even if you have shortcomings so far, crack down on them. Fix it. Make the game you want to make.
Right.
And I will respect you for that.
Right. Because what we kind of came around to is that, do developers, should they seek the love of everyone, or should they seek the respect of their creative decisions, seek people's respect of why they're doing these decisions, and through that, people will love them?
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive, but do they want to be people pleasers? And as soon as someone says, I don't like this, change it. Well, then they changed it, so yeah, well, thank you. You're very responsive. I'm glad you made it the game I want. Well, maybe that change made 1, 2, 5, 10,000 other people pissed off.
Right.
And then they're going to complain, so that where does that constant seesawing stop? It kind of happened in World of Warcraft when a class was overpowered. They fixed it, but then what they did is they massively overcompensated and made a class underpowered.
Right.
And it's this constant balance, and you can't please everyone, especially if you have millions of players.
Well, what happens is that if you're constantly, which it just seems like it'd be intuitive to everyone to understand this, the more you try to please everyone, you just wash your game out of any real depth, because a paladin tanking is the same as a tank as a warrior tanking. I used to say warrior and tank were just like interchangeable words, but not anymore.
I'm a tank. Yeah, what class are you? I said tank.
Right. But now they're just like, what order of skills do you want to use? It was very just washed out.
Yeah.
And WarZ is going the same way, which I'm going to write something on the forum about the protest of adding UI to this very specific thing. And I
link
think
them to this video, by the way. It'll be much more effective.
Yeah. And I very specifically, I want to bring this up because it's prudent to what we're talking about, is that in WarZ currently, there is no nameplates over your characters. When you look at a guy, it doesn't have their name floating over their head like most shooters do, right? So when I look at you, I have no idea you're Shepherd unless you tell me you're Shepherd, right?
Yeah, or there's some kind of us versus them uniform system that at least gives you a hint. This is just people in the world.
Yeah, which I love. Now, gamers playing the game have complained saying, well, sometimes I shoot my friends or I can't differentiate if that guy on the hill my friend or not. Well, to me, that prompts me to get better with my friends at being coordinated and increasing our communication, and therefore building a skill that player B on the other team, even though there's no real teams in that game, the other side might not have. So because I built communication with my group, we will outplay the other group. But now what they're doing is, we'll just add nameplates, so that skill I was going to develop, I don't have to develop anymore. Mm-hmm. And every time you try to make things easier for a player, because, they're complaining this is hard, you have to understand there is always a consequence for doing it. We add a UI to do X, you remove a player's skill to do X. You're washing it all down. Mm-hmm. You have to remember every time you do that you are doing this. So that's the example I'm giving in WarZ, and my fear is that since we seem to be in such a trend of going alpha test right away, that these niche games where people set out to play a game, it really kind of bothers me. I like the Kickstarter thing, where they say, we're going to make a game. I don't like, hey, invest in our game and help us make the game you want to play. I want you to make the game you want to play, and I want to like you.
Mm-hmm. Respect you for that.
I want to respect you for making the game you like, and if you like the same game I like, I'm going to love your game.
Because then what it ends up happening is we are now game designers for hire, in a sense. It's, you tell us what game you want, we have the skills and technology to make it for you, and then we'll deliver a product. Well, we don't always know what we want. Consumers, we're pretty fickle.
Right.
We can be, at least. And I don't think that's a good business model. I don't think that crowdsourcing ideas for games is always good. Maybe you can crowdsource a general idea, but the actual execution needs to be people who have done this before, because who has more experience playing games than game players? So
right.
we know what we like, we know what we don't like. However, we don't know, most of us don't know half or a quarter or some small fraction of what goes into actually making a game. The reason why some elements exist in almost all games is right now the level of game design, that's just kind of how it is.
Right.
There's some things you just can't do without breaking the bank developing a game. So I feel like we don't really know all that it takes to go into making these mechanics that we love so much. We just demand, especially with alphas and betas. We want them to be so polished. People are pissed that they get stuck behind a rock in an alpha. Guess what? It's an alpha. That happens. Be happy that the visuals, the lighting is as good as it is. Be happy that the collisions are as good as they are.
Right.
Be happy there isn't huge lag. There's always a server open and always server with great lag. It's great ping.
For alpha, it's incredibly stable.
It is.
A great example, I went over to the DayZ, which is different than WarZ, the DayZ site for their standalone game, which I'm very excited to try. Mm-hmm. And the creator of the game said, my inspiration for this game, I'm paraphrasing, is the movie The Road with Viggo Mortensen. Did you ever see that movie? Mm-mm. Okay. It was a very solitary, I don't have to go into the description of the movie, but it's a very solitary movie where you're just with these two characters and they meet people, and it's like one of those, it's like WarZ, where you're like, is this guy good? He's going to shoot me? What's going to happen? Right? He says, that's what I want in a game. To me, I love the fact that he has this vision. I want you to feel like this movie while you're playing this game. Mm-hmm. So he's got a foundation. Anything that someone complains about that goes outside of my vision, I hope he strikes it down. So, no, I want it to feel like this movie, and everyone who liked that movie will want to play your game.
Yeah, and you don't really see this, at least not to my knowledge, in any other entertainment industry. Movie houses are not saying, tell us what movie you want us to make, and we'll make it for you. Musicians aren't saying, what kind of songs do you want to hear? You could argue that a lot of times people are selling out to what just sells.
Right.
And they keep making the same movies over and over because they know that's what we like, and that could be a kind of a modified way of going about how developers are. But I think that because gaming is such the most interactive form of entertainment, that there's this unique opportunity to let people in on the development of something.
Well, you do
But
have...
I'd rather let the experts do what they do best. They make games. And so people like your game don't love it. If you stuck to your guns, we'll respect you for it.
Right.
The example I draw is I was a Madden fanatic from 93 to 2010. And I started losing love for the series in 2005. I just kept buying it because it was a tradition. I loved the gameplay, but there were elements that as I matured as a person and a gamer, I just felt like, okay, this is... my biggest gripe, they never expanded playbooks very much. And I always felt like, give me a huge playbook, let me be more tactical and more specific. They kept the game at a certain sophistication level because they wanted to keep drawing in younger gamers. I know they're trying to make money, that's fine. I just lost respect for them because they actually, rather than keeping the game stagnant, they kept dumbing it down. Mm-hmm. It went to a one-button system of, John Madden, you pick a play for me, I'll just run it. Well, are you interested in playing each play? Are you, what game do you really want if that's the kind of game experience you're asking for?
Right.
I just lost respect for them, even though Madden itself was and is to me, to a certain extent, still a fun game to play.
Right.
I just completely lost respect for EA doing that. I love what they do with FIFA, which is why I still give them my money every year.
Right.
But I just couldn't support the product anymore, the brand.
Right. And this might sound a little contradictory to the other discussion where we're saying, like, compartmentalize and say, this game is, great, but not for me, versus... So you could say, well, why can't you apply that to Madden? I mean, it's just not for you. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Madden is supposed to be the quintessential, like, football... simulator type.
They also lose a lot of respect because there was a little game called NFL 2K5, which came out in 2K5. So you had competition,
right,
for the football game.
Right.
What EA did is they bought the exclusive rights to the NFL Players Association, which basically meant that if you want to make a football game, you're not allowed to use any player names because we bought the rights.
And
to
team names
or team names. You weren't allowed to do it.
So you have to invent a whole new league.
Exactly. They monopolized the ability to use the NFL brand and all of its players and teams. And so once they wiped out the competition, legally, they had a chance to say, we're going to make this phenomenal game for people who love football and love playing these football games. And they just kept dumbing and dumbing and dumbing down. So I could say that it's still a great game, but it's not for me. I don't think it's a great game anymore. I think it's fun. It's an entertaining game. Kind of like Call of Duty. It's the same thing every year.
Right.
And I've played them every year. It's the same thing every year. Still fun, but...
But it becomes more frustrating when no one else could say, well, we're going to make the simulator.
Exactly. No one is allowed to say, we're going to make a football game for football tacticians.
Well, I know this is off subject. What about that football manager game we saw? Was that EA, approved?
Different football. No, but yeah, that's an EA game.
And it is? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of... There is no competition there, but... That's also not a huge market they're going after, But it would be as if a shooter got exclusive rights to use the U.S. military. So you could not make a shooter that was U.S. versus, Middle Eastern Coalition or U.S. versus China. It would be you kind of wipe out the competition for that.
Right. But getting back to what we were talking about, so we kind of want to get your opinions on, does alpha testing... I mean, alpha's early, man. I mean, This is really down in the early development. Does it stagnate creativity and force developers to take less risks? Mm-hmm. Does it make the rule, which I think is the golden rule, is I want developers to make games they want to play.
Yeah, have the integrity and conviction to follow through with that.
Right.
If you have a great idea for a game at the high level, and the implementation requires tweaking as you go along, that's fine. If you fundamentally allow gamers to kind of discourage your idea, there are really two ways to go about it. You can say, wow, no one is responding to this very well. Either the idea is bad, the implementation's all wrong, something's wrong. Let's just shut the project down and we'll try again later. Or you basically say, it's not what we thought it would be. Let's completely change it and just be at the whim of our testers.
Right.
If you're not dealing with professionals, I think that's irresponsible.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
Outside of gaming, I am we the people 110%. Inside of gaming, no. I love to think of us as this mature, sophisticated, etc. etc. No, we are as weak as our weakest links. And we have some bad ones. And you can see it in the WarZ, people complaining about the stupidest things. They want it to become a zombie shooter.
Right.
Not even like Left 4 Dead. They want it to be where you actually actively hunt other players, and zombies are there too.
Well, that is, to me, that's capitalism. If it becomes just a shooter, and that's what WarZ is, then I'll go play DayZ.
Exactly. Yeah, and so it's...
You can't copyright zombies.
Thank God.
Or walkers, or creepers, or whatever the heck you want to call them.
Creepers. Yeah.
Anyway, so
integrity and conviction, that's what we're asking for.
Right.
And if we end up not liking your game, fine.
We want braver developers.
Yes.
Be brave developers. Make the game. And stop worrying about what everyone says about it.
Just worry about what we say about it.
Yeah. Listen to us. If all developers subscribe to us.
Because that's how you make money.
Anyway, please comment below. Please favorite this video, because it's your favorite video of all time. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd. This is the PC Elitist, signing out.